Welcome to SB 67D, Principles of Management 1. My name is Felicia Frida Aidan Aqua. I'll be taking you through Unit 2, Development of Management Theory, and we're going to focus our discussion on the Classical Management Theory, Session 1. By the end of the session, you should be able to explain the classical management theory, highlight the two subgroupings of the classical management theory, and then distinguish between the basic assumptions of the scientific and administrative management theories, and most importantly, be able to evaluate the contributions of the scientific and administrative management theories as well. So the classical management theory is actually like the fundamentals when it comes to management. That is what has brought about or has been the building block for what we have today, the understanding we have in management. And this actually started during the industrial era, where I think that was after the world wars, and you realized that industrialization was now picking up, and then the main thing was that we needed to produce a lot. Countries needed to specialize and then be producing a lot, employing more people, coming out with more products and all those ones. So at that peak of the industrial revolution, classical management theory was really something that came up, and the main premise was that there is always one best way to do things. You realize around that time because there was specialization. So if there's a country or a state or a company which is doing sugar, they just do sugar. There's someone who's doing cement, it's just cement. Someone who's doing, around that time, industries were just like on the bust and everywhere. And so there were issues that came up with it, issues about control or that authority and all those ones. And this is actually what has also helped us, because people have critiqued these things, people have opposed some of them, we found some of the loopholes, worked on them, and then they informed the other management theories as well. And so currently there are some perspectives about the classic the approaches. Now we have the classical, the neoclassical, and then the modern approach to management, which we'll be understanding in this session, this unit, as we go on as well. So prior to the scientific management theory, basically during the industrial time, you realize that a lot of people were basing what they did based on what their intuition, their feelings, traditional experiences. That was how they knew. So if I've been doing this for like 5 years on the job, I know that this is how it's supposed to be done, and we just go by it. So most of the things were done by rule of thumb, and you realize that most of the people they called as managers were more of what, supervisors. That's one thing that was also happening then. There was informal training, a lot of apprenticeship issues were there, and then you realize that it was hard for them to even introduce new technologies because people were used to doing things in a certain way. And so Frederick Winslow Taylor, he's one of the people who have contributed a lot when it comes to scientific management theories. They opposed and they were like, no, there is supposed to be one best way of doing something. There's a science behind the things people do. And this man was, by age 28, he had self-taught himself to be an engineer. And you realize that for this one, he understood the science of doing things, and he believed in the science of doing things, that whatever you do, there is a science to it. And so we should be able to find out that thing and then use that science to do what you are supposed to do. So the scientific selection of personnel, he believed that yes, we should be able to get the people who are fit for that job or fit for that particular position. And these people, when they are fit, you pick them, you also would train them and then develop them. At the end of the day, there's supposed to be coordination between management and workers, because at a point you realize that because they were just focused on producing, all they had to do was just employing just anybody to come and help out on the work of ground. But that also brought a problem. And you realize that all that they were looking at as managers were supervisors who were just supervising people to do the work. And someone may come in and then this person is laying bricks, this person is also painting, this person is doing something else. In the same company, there are different things that are coming up and going on in there. And that coordination was not going on perfectly. So he said that there's supposed to be some coordination between management and workers as well. And then there should be what we call the functional foremanship. So there should be equal division of work and responsibility as well. And then he is actually noted for what we call the piece rate pay system. So the piece rate pay system is, if at the end of the day we are working in a phone company, we are supposed to produce phones. If you produce one phone today, you are supposed to be paid, let's say 20 cedis. You just be paid 20 cedis for your phone. If I produce 5, I'm going to get what, 100 cedis. If you're able to produce 3, you get your 60 cedis and you go home. That is what he believed was the fairest thing to do. So unlike the time rate where if you come to work 8 hours, whether you produce one phone or no phone, you'll be paid. He believed that if at the end of the day we make reduce the piece rate, productivity is going to be what, more efficient in there as well. So the principles of the scientific management theory, these 4 key principles can stand out or come in here. There's 1, the development of true science of management, so that the best method of performing each task is actually determined. Because honestly, if you find out the best way of producing a phone, it reduces the time load, and it also increases efficiency. So you're able to even do more of it more productively with less stress. And so that science also helps us today, even in modern management. The scientific selection of workers, so that each worker is given the responsibility and task for which he is best suited for. At the end of the day, we realize that even as of today, we've based on this thing, and when we are hiring people, we are looking out to avoid square pegs in round holes, because at the end of the day, you want the people who qualify for the thing, and then when they come in, you should be able to also train and develop them. And so the scientific education and development of workers. Someone may come in today with the skills which is relevant today, but you realize that changing trends, things keep changing. And so the skills you brought in 5 years ago, some are no longer relevant, some have changed, some new ones have come to add up. And so the scientific management held that there should be constant education and development of the workers if you really want to get good output. There's also supposed to be intimate friendship coordination between management and workers, so that they believe that there should be a bridge between management and workers. We should be able to meet at a point, and because if you are both in a good relationship, it also helps when it comes to productivity. Workers can feel like, yes, they are part of the family and put in their best effort. So other management theories were from Frank and Lillian Gilbert, and Frank was actually a bricklayer, and Lillian was the wife. She was actually into management and had a background in psychology, and they developed a lot of strategies, what we call the motion study. He believed that there was a particular motion. If workers use that motion, they're supposed to get a certain number of output, and so that's also what their research or their statement was based on, and they used it to also develop a lot of issues in management. So it must be recognized, however, that while Frank was more interested in efficiency, in getting work methods, Lillian was actually focusing on the human research, the human aspect of things. Like I said, his motion study, because he was a bricklayer and things, he believed that there's the same posture or motion you use, there's supposed to be some sort of output you're supposed to get. So for him, it was about, if we find that motion, let's use that right motion, let's get the work really done, let's get productivity high, let's look at efficiency in there. So some of the key contribution of the scientific management theory is that, 1, there was enormous increase in productivity, and after the industrialization, during the after the World War, and industrialization was at a peak, productivity was something that was really strong in that era, and some of the things that accounted for it was the scientific management. There was also deserving pay for workers, coupled with incentives, because at the end of the day, you realize that if you are lazy, you're producing just 1 phone per day, your pay will be different from someone who is producing about 10 per day. So at the end of the day, workers who were working hard, they were getting better pays, better incentives as well. They provided a foundation for modern work study, because now we know that when we bring in people, they should fit in, they should have some sort of criteria we need, they should be able to be trained and all those ones. We know that there's a science to whatever we are doing, and we need to apply that science. What works, what doesn't work, what should we do, what should we not do. It has reduced a lot of things and made things easier now. It is a rationale and approach to organization of work, enabling a considerable accurate measure of tasks and processes as well. So some of the drawbacks of the scientific management theories are: one, workers were kind of seen as machines, because at the end of the day, maybe realistically speaking, the optimal number of phones a worker should be able to produce could be like 2 or 3. But because we're focusing more on efficiency and increasing productivity and things, you can actually push someone to be producing about 6 or 7 of the phones per day. Meanwhile, in reality, he's supposed to be doing like 3 of it. And so you become like machines instead of what? Humans. You're just working. And relationship between the organization and external environment was actually neglected, because all the focus was within the organization. Let's increase what? Productivity. That was the main focus at that time. Whatever happens in our external environment, it wasn't something that was being considered. And it did not also acknowledge individual differences among employees. All employees are not the same. So in as much as someone can do about 20 a day and someone is doing 10 per day, it doesn't mean that person, the 10 per day, may be lazy. There could be other things in there as well. So that didn't give the space for us to acknowledge the differences of employees in there, and it ruled out any realistic bargaining about wage rates, since every job was measured by the time and rated scientifically. That was what was happening there at that time, which was not fair to most of the workers. They also have the general administrative management theory, which was by Henry Fayol. So they believed that when it comes to management, they were saying that there's actually some key functions or things every manager should be doing, or how industries or businesses are supposed to be managed generally. This was the underpinning of the administrative management theory. And so Henry Fayol, in his book, his first book, which was in French, he's a French person, in 1930, which was translated as a General and Industrial Management, said that when it comes to management, they are supposed to be planning, they are supposed to be organizing, they are supposed to be commanding, they are supposed to be coordinating, they're supposed to be controlling, which is what is currently, or in the modern term, we've classified under 4 as a management function of planning, organizing, leading, and then controlling. So during Fayol's time, in his first book, he was talking about planning, organizing, commanding, controlling, coordinating, and controlling. But in modern management, commanding, coordinating have all been merged under the leadership function, because leaders would have to coordinate the activities of all their people they are working with and all those ones. And some part of coordination also goes into organizing as well. And then commanding, now we're looking at leadership, because leaders have to inspire people and influence people to actually get the work done. So that's the beauty about theories. Theories have a key role they play in there. You realize that we are still building on these things, and it's still helping us as well. So Henry Fayol is one of the key proponents in the administrative management theory, and he came up with some activities which he 6 key activities which he felt industrial undertakings should actually look out for. And he was actually looking at the fact that when it comes to technical activities like production, we should look at it as for businesses, they're supposed to look at it. Commercial activities like they're buying and selling, financial activities like how they obtain funds, securing activities like how they security activities like how they actually safeguard their property, be it cash, be it the buildings and things. Accounting activities when it comes to providing accounting information, and managerial activities like planning, leading, organizing, all those ones. Those are things or key proponents Fayol was actually encouraging them to do. So Fayol's 5 qualities as being responding for differentiating between efficient and inefficient management. So he also said that when it comes to management, these are some of the things that need to be looked out for in here. So the general administrative management theory, 14 principles of management were actually highlighted in there as well. One is division of work. Now, at the end of the day, when we bring work, we all can't do the same thing. No, and even though it's a big picture we want to work towards, a big goal, we need to be able to break that goal and then let everyone be working on something. So division of work was important in the authority. When you give people the work to do, you need to give them that power or that authority for them to be able to execute it in that capacity. There was also supposed to be discipline. So they were saying that both workers and managers were supposed to grab some sort of discipline in there by applying or going by the rules and regulations which were set in their companies for them. There was also supposed to be unity of command. At the end of the day, if you have two leaders or two people giving you instructions, you don't know who you are going by. So at the end of the day, every worker should have one key person whom they are taking instructions from. There was also the issue about unity of direction. There was also subordination of interest, remuneration, money, how much you are supposed to be paid, wages and all those ones, centralization. Because at the end of the day, there should be that headquarters or that main place where instructions and everything is actually coming. Coordination should be able to go in effectively with centralization. There was also the issue about the scalar chain, issue about order, equality, and co. Then we have the bureaucratic management theory, which was actually spearheaded by Max Weber. And in there, he was saying that for organizations to do their best, they're supposed to follow a certain structure. And he believes that there should be, first and foremost, a hierarchical structure for management. So this one is here, this is under that, this is under that. That is how come now we have the levels of management. And we look at, when you go into organizing, we look at issues about who reports to who and all those issues in there. So they were first talking about the issue about hierarchical structure, also looking at division of labor in there. I made mention of it earlier. Formation of rules and regulations, separation of ownership from management, and technical competency, position power, and then record keeping. But the challenge about the bureaucratic was that they were a bit too rigid. That was the thing about bureaucratic. But aside that, they made some contributions like promoting efficient performance of routine organizational activities. Because if the thing is done all the time, you can have like systems or structures in place that, okay, every day when you wake up, brush your teeth, go and bath, come to work. When you close, when you come to work, you do this. When you are done, go home, go and sleep. Next day, come to work. That is someone's routine. Now, when you come to the workplace and you have some of these routines, it makes work very easy. You know that when you come to work, I come to do A, B, C, D. Once you do A, B, C, D, you are done. You go back, you go your way. So it also helped in the performance of routine organizational activities. That also eliminated subjective judgment. For these people, they were being more rationalistic with the things. And then they also recognize the importance of jobs and specialization. So if I'm good at preparing the hardware for the phones, all I do is just do the hardware of the phones, hardware of the phones. And also, specialization gives you more skills or more speed when it comes to doing that same thing. And so that was some of the proponents of the bureaucratic management theory. But like I said, it was too rigid because it's just one way. This is it. You just do this or nothing else. And also, it looked over employee initiatives. If that thing is A, B, C, D, how then do you come up with something new? Whatever new thing sticks in your head? The rules became ends in themselves and may not be used to meet the stipulated goals. It also accumulated power when it comes to authoritarian management, because power is usually centralized in the hands of few people who then dictate what's supposed to be done, and decision making became very slow because whenever there's bureaucracy, there's what we call bottlenecks. So it becomes hard for you to move from the process or move from one part to the other smoothly or successfully. So in this session, we've actually looked at the theories of management, which based on the classical management theories. In the subsequent sessions, we look at the others like the human resource. So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.